In this video, I'm going to show you how to integrate Google Sign-in on Android, iOS, and the web platform. We are going to have step-by-step tutorial starting from Firebase app creation to set up in individual projects and then doing CodeX integration so that we can update our page automatically. All of this coming up right after this intro. What's up everybody, I'm your host Afzal, and in today's video we're gonna start with the UI design, then we'll do the iOS integration and CodeX state management. Basically 80% of the time we'll be doing the above 3 tasks, and this video has a chapter so you can navigate easily through them. Okay, let's get it started. So we are going to use the command line to create the project. So you can select any folder you want and then write a command flutter create, and here we are going to provide the organization name in reverse domain, and this is really important because we need the package name in proper this fashion. Now pretty much you can get the same result if you want to create from VS Code, but you have to go to the manifest and info playlist to get the package name. That is the only difference. Okay, let's get started and open the root file of our project, which is main.dart, and here we're gonna get rid of all these comments. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and create a login page where our actual UI will reside, and I'm going to use one extension to get the template of the page, which is called get snippet or get template, something like that. I'll put link in the description below. A simple extension, but it makes writing code more productive, isn't it? Okay, so we have the login page. Let's go ahead and link this from the main page. Here we go. Now we can give this application a run, and meanwhile it's building, we're gonna go ahead and create our Firebase project. I have added link for this Firebase Console in the description below. So basically what we're gonna do is name a project whatever you want to create, and when you say continue, it's gonna end up giving you the project, which is like empty. We don't have any iOS Android project, so we're gonna create those projects in this tutorial. All right, so our application is up and running over here. We're gonna go to the login page and define the UI. And at first, I'm just going to define a floating action button with some text which says sign in with Google. Now there's nothing fancy going over here. Let's give some stylize. So I'm gonna give the background color of white and foreground of black, so it looks like a white theme, and let's also give it an icon. Now you can totally stick with this icon if you don't want to add assets and all those things, but just for the UI sake, I'm going to add asset for the Google icon. And here we have nice and clear Google login button. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and do the iOS setup part. First, we will create iOS application, and this is very important. You have to enter the package name exactly the same way you have created your application. You can check inside info.plist. Now for the name, we can give anything like iOS app. And once you register the app, basically you have to download this Google service info.plist. This file contains all the information of your application. So we're gonna go ahead and bring this file inside our application. It's totally fine even if you're watching on a Windows machine, because this is related to iOS setup. We are just gonna move to the integration part. So basically what you have to do from Visual Studio Code, you have to fire up Xcode, okay? And inside the runner over here in the root directory, you have to add this file. Okay, and make sure these checkboxes are selected in the same way you can see on the screen. Add this file, and we are done with the Xcode part. So basically you can see this file is added over here. You can close the Xcode now, and you will see the same file inside VS Code. And now there's a reason, because it adds a reference in particular way, so we have to do on Xcode. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the Google Sign-in package and see what steps are remaining. Basically we have covered these 7 steps. Now we have to add this dictionary inside our info.plist. Now we have to go to the runner folder. Inside that we have info.plist. Make sure you paste this value over there, not inside the Google service file. Just I'm going to format this, and over here we have something called reverse ID. Now you have to copy this information from your Google service and then paste this inside the info.plist. Don't make mistake over here. Be careful. You are copying data from Google service and pasting inside info plist, right? It's easy. So now we are done with the integration part. Let's go ahead and add an actual package which is going to do the sign-in job. So I'm just going to say Flutter pub add and the name of the package, which is Google Sign-in. And here we have the package imported. Now let's go ahead inside the onPressed event, and I'm going to say Google sign-in.sign-in. So this is the method basically to do the sign-in thing. And of course, we're going to do the GetX integration. But for now, let's see how application is working. So I'm going to click on this button, and we got this exception that Google Sign-in is not found. Anytime you get this exception, it means that your library is not yet referenced inside your application. So you have to stop and give it a rerun. Along the way, we are learning so many new things, so a like will be much appreciated. Now let's go ahead and click on the sign in button. We have something to look at, and bam, we got another issue. So let me just convert it to English so that you can also understand. And basically it says authorization error, and it's talking about something concept screen. Now I'll put link in the description for the Cloud Console. So you have to go to Cloud Console and define the OAuth concept, and make sure you have the proper project selected once this console is loaded. Okay, so I'm going to select the project CodeX. If you remember, we created the Firebase in CodeX project. Now once your project is selected, go ahead and click on this OAuth concept, and over here I'm going to define just a simple setup. We are just going to authorize this for the external use, and you have to just specify the email address. Leave all the fields empty and just provide your email address. Click next, 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 and finally you have to click on publish app over here. Once you publish, you are good to go. So let's go ahead into our application and just skip this exception for now, and we're going to give a rerun. After that, we can click on login. So we are getting this proper page, and we have the proper email. Now you may get the login screen if you haven't logged in previously, but for me it's there. Okay, and once I log in, I get nothing because we didn't have defined the interface for the profile. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'm gonna keep it nice and simple. So let's go ahead and use circular avatar for the profile picture, and 2 text widget, 1 for the name and 1 for email. And also let's bring this thing down in the center. Don't worry, this is just a structural thing. Once we do the integration with GetX, we are going to fetch the data and populate inside this dummy data. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a login controller. This is the time we are going to go with GetX state management thing. So here I have defined the page. Let's go ahead and import the package as well. So we're going to write a simple command, flutter pub add, and the package name, which is get. Perfect. So the package has been loaded. Now let's go ahead and make use of the extension again. So I'm going to write get controller void, which is going to give me the template of controller, which is pretty simple, right? And here I'll say login controller. Now I'm going to define the Google Sign-in, the same class which we did on onPressed method. So basically we'll be doing everything from the controller, and let's go ahead and define a login method. Instead of doing things from the UI, it's better to do inside a controller. So here I'm just going to say Google signin.signin. Okay, and now this sign-in method returns Google sign-in account, which is the actual user data. So let's go ahead and define a variable for that. Now we need to create an observable variable so that initially it will be null, and later on we're going to change the data. So let's try to do that. So we will be using Google sign-in account and create an object of that, and we have some issue. We cannot create object of this class. Let's try to write OBS, and it's not working. And this is not the issue with GetX, because the Google sign-in account, it's not allowing to create objects. So we have to find some other way around. So what you can do, you can wrap this Google sign-in account inside RX and then create an object with a null data. And because we're working with null safety, we have to put a question mark. That's it. So now inside this variable, we'll capture whatever user information we get. So we'll write Google sign-in account.value, and still we have some issue. And the reason, because we get a future of Google sign-in account. So we have to use async and await. It's that simple to write inside GetX controller. Okay, now we are done with the controller part almost. Let's go ahead and refer this controller inside our login page. So we're going to create an instance of controller in this way. We have to call get.put and name of the controller. Now using this controller, we'll be writing a condition. But before that, we have to fix issue of this toChild. So let's go ahead and simplify this by extracting to a method. So for the button, I'll just say build login button, something like that. And we're gonna extract the column as well. So here I will say build profile view. Now that we have method for both of the widgets, let's go ahead and introduce obx inside widget hierarchy. Now obx is responsible for updating the widget if you have some observable variable inside it. So here we are going to put the condition on Google sign-in account data. Okay, so I'll write condition like if controller.google sign-in account dot value is equal to null, then it means that there's no data and we have to show the login button. Otherwise we can show the profile, which means that we have the data, right? It's a simple logic. Just we are updating the widget based on condition, and this condition is listenable. So I hope you guys are enjoying this tutorial. At this point of time, we are almost there. We just now have to integrate the profile picture and all those stuff. So let's go ahead and use the controller.login method inside onPressed event. Done. And now we are going to give the application restart and we're going to see how it works. So let's go ahead and click on the sign in button. We got the control over here. Perfect. Now I'm just going to play and authorize from my Gmail account. Let's see what happens. We got this blue screen. So the UI got updated, which is fine. Now let's go ahead and quickly update the profile section. So here for the name, of course, we are going to use controller information. So I'll write something like controller.google account. Then we're going to use the value inside it, and which property we'll use for the name, display name, right? So let's use the display name, and because the display name can be null because it's a null safety, so we have to put a check and give empty string. Now the value also can be null, so we will put a question mark over here. This is a simple statement which just fetch the data from the display, and you can see the name over there. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing for email, and instead of display name, this time it will be email address. Now also I'm going to change the styling a little bit so that you can see it better and also it looks better. So I'm going to use the style with get.text theme, and I'm gonna go with the headline 3. Now for the email address, I'm gonna go with the body text 1. All of these text themes are built inside Flutter, so you don't have to worry about that. And the reason it's not reflecting because we have to do some modification in the main file. And before we do that modification, let's copy the same value for the photo URL. So basically this profile picture will come from the photo URL, and the same logic will apply. We have to do a null check. Perfect. We have the photo, we have the name and email. Let's go to the main file and change from material app to get material app. Now what it does, it brings all the feature of get, theming, routing and everything in the place, so that we can talk in a later video. Now only one thing left to do is add logout button. For that I'm going to use action chip which says logout, and also you can add icon as an avatar which says logout, right? It looks like a logout button now. So let's go ahead to the controller and copy this method, and it's gonna be exactly the same. Only thing will be different is instead of sign in we'll be calling sign out. That's it, right? So that is what it takes to create logout method. Now let's go ahead and call controller.logout from onPress method. So now I'm running it for the final time, and you can see that I have selected my profile. It is visible all the information, and when you say logout, it's logged out. So we have successfully integrated Google Sign-in on iOS platform. Next up, we're going to do on Android and web. Before that, let's give shout out to our channel members who have recently joined. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate you guys. And you can also contribute channel CodeX by taking membership or buying me coffee on Buy Me Coffee, or at least you can hit the like button and write on the comment section your feedback about this video. That will really be helpful. And if you're new here, a sub will be awesome. All right, enough of interruption. Let's continue with Android integration. Oh, so much of editing. Okay, now let's go to Firebase Console, and we're gonna create one more app for Android. Make sure you add the correct package name net.codex.flutter signin, which you can find inside manifest file. Okay, after this we have to add SHA1 fingerprint. Now what is SHA1 fingerprint and how to get it? You can go to terminal and move to Android directory by using command cd android, and then run this command which is gradle signin report, and it will give you the SHA1, SHA256 and all the different keys. But here we are concerned about SHA1, so you can go to the debug section and copy the SHA1 fingerprint, and this we are going to paste inside of our Firebase Console. Let's go ahead and copy from here, paste inside Firebase and register the application. And just how we did for iOS, we're gonna download this Google service file and paste inside Android directory. But this time it's quite simple. We don't have to go to Android Studio or stuff like that. So let's go ahead inside Visual Studio. We have the Android app over here. Let's minimize. And we're gonna paste inside the app folder. So make sure you don't paste inside Android root, paste inside app directory inside the Android folder. That's it. Now I'm going to launch the Android simulator, which is running over here, and we have the application up and running. Let's click on the sign in with Google. We have the nice dialog, select the profile, and bam, you have the profile inside Android. So basically we have done integration on two platforms, which is Android and iOS. Now we're gonna move to the web part. And this is going to be even simpler. So let's go ahead and create a web application. You can name whatever you want. And basically that is what required on the Firebase console side. So now we have the web app. Let's go to the setup, what it requires. So here we can find the documentation. Basically it says you have to add this metadata inside your index.html file. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to paste that meta tag over here. And one thing, inside the content, you have to go to the Cloud Console and put the credential value. So basically we'll be putting this client ID. So let's go ahead and copy this value and paste inside content. Perfect. Now, instead of running directly on the Chrome browser, we have to run it on particular port. And you can see over here, if you click that, it can allow to run on 5000 port or this URL. So let's go ahead and find out a way to run on specific port inside Flutter. You can go ahead and type in a command flutter run -d, which is device Chrome, and then we will provide the host name and the port name ourselves. Let's see how does it look on the Chrome browser. Here we have the brand new sign-in application running on Chrome as well. Let's click on the button and we got the authorization screen. So here we have to log in because I'm running like this Chrome browser. It created a new instance, so I have to log in again, and then I'm authorizing on my tab over here, and bam, we have the login profile on the browser itself. So now basically we have done on Android, iOS, and web. Perfect. Wow, that was so much of content, so much of information. And if you want to learn more about Flutter, you can find two videos right over here. Make sure to check them out. I will see you guys in the next one.